What's up, guys? This is Kalo, and normally I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, but we are back for yet another episode of Game Sandwich Hot Topic. Albeit it's a special edition episode, just because the time this episode released, this very episode, it's gonna be my birthday. Birthday themed Hot Topic today. It's a nice time. Nice time.
Well, I didn't know it was your birthday. Now I feel bad. Happy birthday.
Timing wise, it all kind of works together. But what better way to spend my birthday than debating about things that I don't want, they might be taboo in gaming. Now, today's topic is, should developers expand to regions they're not too familiar with, they're not too known for? And I only bring this up because the From Software boss was recently talking about bringing co-op experiences to their games. I'm talking about Elden Ring, any of those fancy games that you're currently playing at this very moment.
Yeah.
Live update
Oh,
as we go.
when you say co-op stuff, though, I mean, they already have co-op in their games. So what do you mean by co-op? Like just entire game co-op? Because they basically already have that.
He said specifically a seamless co-op experience, and if I can kind of pull up this quote as we go, that would be great. But oh, here it is. Look at me being prepared for everything. So he said he's talking about. So what he's basically saying here is seamless co-op experience is definitely not something we actively oppose or want to downplay. So he wants to basically bring in, I guess, new ideas, but if they already have it, is it really new? I don't know.
I mean, whenever you say seamless, I would imagine the type of co-op that's like, uh, what was it? It Takes Two, where it's like, oh, you need two people to play it. Maybe not you need two people, but you can play the whole game with two people. Because like in Souls games, you have interruptions where it's like, oh, you beat a boss, your ally disappears.
Hmm. So maybe that's the thing where they just kind of stick with you through the whole ride. Now, just so that people understand, they're just considering this. I know some people are purists, they want to hold their games as is. But I also look to developers like, rest in peace, up there, Tango Gameworks. They were known to be the horror people, and then they release Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm-based game that's all, anime inspired. It's all cool, colorful, and nice. I think that's a case where expanding beyond what you're comfortable with, what you're known for, it worked. I can't really think of any other developers or any other games that do that unless you got a few off the top of your head.
I mean, off the top of my head, no, I don't really. I mean, really, I have nothing wrong with like developers reaching out and like doing other things that they're not used to, you know? I mean, that's how you get new ideas and that's how you get new experiences that are better than the old ones. I mean, really, you can take what you've learned and then translate it to whatever you want. I mean, if you take the Souls experience, for instance, like, yeah, they have combat down to a T.
Yeah.
Like, their combat can be translated into any game that they make, but they can make more of an RPG style focused game instead of like, an action RPG and bring that same combat over, make it entirely seamless co op, like they mentioned, and there you go. I mean, it's technically a new style, but it's not really new, it's just adapting, you know?
Mm. So you brought up RPGs, and I'm a big fan. You're a big fan of Bethesda games. I love Skyrim, Fallout, all that stuff. At the same time, you got the developer Bethesda taking a game like Fallout 76 and ESO. I I don't know what it is. I can't verbally describe it, but ESO and Fallout 76 don't feel the same as a Skyrim or a Fallout 4. I get when I was playing Skyrim, I said, man, imagine if they gave us multiplayer Skyrim. And they essentially did that in ESO. That's what that is, and that's what they're doing in Fallout 76. But something there just doesn't feel the same. Is it just me?
I mean, it's not gonna feel the same whenever it's ESO because ESO is supposed to be an MMO,
Hmm.
not Like, it's not supposed to be the same exact thing as Skyrim. I mean, it still runs like Skyrim, kind of. I mean, from what I've played of it, I don't personally like ESO that much.
I'm with you
I
there.
just don't do MMOs. But like Fallout 76, for instance, so that one's not an MMO. That one is purely like you could play that entire game by yourself
Mm.
if you wanted. I mean, you can play it with some friends if you want. You can go into an online lobby, and yeah, while it's all online, you can go into an online lobby and just be like, I'm gonna do my own thing and not ever interact with anybody.
Now, I want to bring up a game we both enjoy, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Would slapping another player into that game or making it a multiplayer deal, would that change anything for you about it? I don't know. Going through the game with another
Didn't they
player
already,
obviously changes that.
didn't they already do that with Four Swords?
Kind of, but I'm more or
Like,
less
Four Swords?
saying you're taking Wind Waker specifically and saying, all right, you can play it with another person. The
I mean,
fundamental
I'd be
formula
totally
would be
down for
changed. What happened?
that. I'd be down for that. I would be down for that if they wanted to do that. I mean, really, I'm someone who like advocates for like co-op to be more of a thing. Like one of my favorite games is Borderlands because I love that co-op experience. Like I like Helldivers because there's a big co-op experience in it. I mean, really, you give me any game that I can play online with a friend and hey, I'm happy.
That's also my thing because I feel like if I wanted to play a multiplayer game, those specific multiplayer game formulas exist totally separate from single player games. Like that's its own beast. And I think there needs to be that dynamic established within the game first, like what is a multiplayer game versus single player. And that's where the road kind of diverges for me. Like you can take like a Ferrari engine and slap it into a smart car. Sure, it has a Ferrari engine inside of it, but on the outside and some inner working components, it's still a smart car. And, some parts might not mesh together. And that kind of applies here with games. I don't know if that analogy even sounds about right. In my mind and in my notes, it does. But that's my thing, where the inner working components of, let's just say, a Mario game like Super Mario Odyssey, making that multiplayer, I just feel like we know what the single player Super Mario Odyssey is. I don't think it will translate well. Like, I don't think every game translates to multiplayer. That's what I'm kind of getting at here.
No, yeah, I mean, like I can agree with you on that. Not every single game's gonna work. Um, like really, like you brought up Super Mario and like really Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah, that would not work multiplayer unless they reworked it a little bit. They did do some sort of multiplayer, I think, with some Mario game like that.
Yeah.
But like it does work if you build it around it being multiplayer, but
Mm.
if you have it set to be a single player game first and then later on adapt it to being multiplayer, it doesn't work as well. Definitely. It's
That,
like but there are some that do work, like Skyrim. I don't know if you've ever seen the mod for it
mhm.
that's I can't remember the name for the mod, but it is like just a co-op experience of Skyrim. My brother-in-law played it. He thinks it's great.
That's my thing, and I guess I'm bringing up this idea today because, like, Elden Ring came out, and it's its own thing. It doesn't have multiplayer, right? I just don't want to miss that if that's a key. Or they can,
Elden Ring has multiplayer.
but you can, like, come in, do the boss, and then disappear, like you said,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There's no seamless multiplayer, but there is multiplayer where you can run around the map with a friend.
oh,
But as soon as
okay.
you do a boss fight, that friend disappears.
Gotcha.
So peace
So
out.
maybe that's what he's alluding to. Um, it's more or less like taking those established franchises and then doing part two or number two. Something about that would sour the experience for a lot of people. Me too, I guess. Let's just say they do Skyrim 2. Whatever. I played that game as a single player game, and then I hop into Skyrim 2, and they're like, hey, you can play with like four people. The experience of playing with friends, I always like that. I'm a big multiplayer person. But at the same time, too, I'm like, all right, this was a single player game. That's where it thrived. That's where it made its bread and butter. And I'm like, why would they do that? Why would they switch it?
See, now I get what you're talking about with that, because like a lot of people, they had that exact thing happen with them whenever Fallout 76 came out. Like Fallout 4, Fallout 3, every Fallout before that, all single player. Everyone's expecting a single player experience. But then Fallout 76 came out, and all of a sudden you're playing online with people, and they're all random people just in one lobby and everything. And that in itself threw a lot of people off.
Yes.
It did. And it did sour the taste of like a lot of people. There were a lot of people who said that they refused to play it because it's not an actual Fallout game, or they found that like the multiplayer aspect of it ruined it for them and everything. But like, there's a big difference between being able to play with a friend or just having multiplayer. So
Yes.
it's like, like Fallout 76, the reason why a lot of people didn't like it at first was because you could run around and kill other players, and players were getting away with that, just running around going and just one-shotting people, and people didn't have fun with that. But if you take Skyrim, for instance, make a second one, just say, hey, you can play this all by yourself or with a friend, then I don't see why people wouldn't love that. You know?
I think Fallout 76 is kind of the good poster child here for this argument, only because, like you said, everything prior was single player, don't even think about multiplayer, and then boom, they drop this. It's an MMO, right? Or no? That's where it gets weird for me. Like MMOs and like
What is Fallout 76 actually classified as? I need to know this now.
This is where gaming gets confusing for me. It's like, is it an MMO?
It's not classified as an MMO. It's just classified as a multiplayer action role-playing game. Not an MMO. Weird.
Gaming needs to get it together there. But I do know of a multiplayer, or MMO in this case, World of Warcraft. What if we took that game and made it single player? What if we pulled the reverse? Would it be the same?
Oh, that would be absolutely terrible. I mean,
it's
see, that would be terrible because, like, in my mind, you can take a single player game and add another player to it, and just be like, oh, hey, you're playing two players. Oh well, it's the same thing as playing single player, but you have a friend with you. But like, when you take something the size and scale of World of Warcraft that is meant to have like hundreds of people online at one time in one realm, or like thousands, I think, or something, and you suddenly make it one player, that is so much space where you won't see anybody for the longest time now.
kind of like Starfield. You'll like go into a world and there's going to be people like NPCs, but then the rest of it's not really occupied by much.
See, you bring up Starfield, and that's a game that I really say that should be multiplayer.
Yep.
That should have been.
Yep.
Because really, they made that. I think where it comes down to it is scale.
Yes.
Like, if you have something that's like a massive scale, inherently it has to be multiplayer. Because like, if you don't have multiplayer in that, then it ruins everything. Like, you have too much loneliness.
I guess, yeah, you kind of nailed it right there, because I look at, I'm going to pull a random game out of my mind. Watch Dogs Legion. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, we're rolling with that. From what I understand, that game is taking place in a city, and you can kind of get away with it being single player. But also, I'm kind of piecing it together live and in person, and you can kind of see the wheels turning in my head. But Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a single player game with a massive map. Would multiplayer work there?
See,
I don't think so.
I think that it would. Like, I think
Really?
it would for Assassin's Creed. I think that it would. That's one of the things that they're working on now too. I think is like more Assassin's Creed multiplayer, like kind of like Unity or whatever. But like Unity, while I don't like Assassin's Creed, just throwing that out there. Absolutely hate the franchise. but they are good historically. For their historic accuracy, that is. But like Unity, a lot of people hated it. Yeah,
Mm.
but in my mind, I mean that would be fine to have like a team of assassins. Now, I've never played the game. I can't say that I have or anything.
Yeah.
So, but from the standpoint of, oh, you have four assassins and you can go around the city and assassinate people. Ooh, that seems like that seems pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I played Odyssey. I didn't play Valhalla, but I played Odyssey, another one with a massive map.
Yeah.
And Odyssey was the only one that I've actually enjoyed that I've played. And that one, honestly, having a friend in it would have been cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would have been cool. It would have felt kind of like Far Cry
Mm.
in a sense, because they have the whole like they have the whole like compound thing and everything. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I like about Far Cry is playing multiplayer or playing co-op there and sneaking into bases with a friend and
Mm-hmm.
like them taking out people from one side, me going in from the other side and everything.
I guess it's all like execution of this stuff. Like, you can throw out like these big MMOs or these co-op games and things could work. There are games specifically crafted to be multiplayer games. Shout out to a game that just came out, Chained Up. I don't think that game would survive as a single player game at all. I don't think it would be a thing.
I mean, it already has. I mean, only Up is a single player version of it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Or,
And
well, that was the original version, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
it walks so this game could run. But
Exactly.
I I guess the point of today, taking the risk is very nuanced, and again, with all these games coming out over the years, there are cases where it worked, there's cases where it bombed, and there's cases where the jury is still kind of out. Um, but in closing, if you could just pull a rabbit out of the hat right now, is there a game that could use a change up? Like, whether it be it's a multiplayer game, it should go single player, or a single player that should go multiplayer.
Resident Evil.
Ooh, I didn't expect that one.
Resident Evil, they did co-op one time with 5. I actually really liked 5. I know a lot of people didn't because of Chris punching boulders, but really loved that. I think if they were to like do the new style, like do like
Yeah.
the style of Resident Evil Village, do
Ooh,
that like do that as a co-op game, that would be amazing. And
man.
a they had an online multiplayer to it called it wasn't AIDS. They had another one. Oh, I can't think of it. It wasn't Reverse. Reverse was the one that bombed. I mean, both multiplayers did, but the other one was better. But they had a previous multiplayer that was like a bunch of people versus one. It was like one of those like asymmetrical horror multiplayer games, and it was like the guy, like the one player controlled the building you were in, and they controlled all the enemies that spawned. They
Oh,
controlled like the traps that were set and everything, and it was
yeah.
so cool. I loved that, but then it just disappeared.
They just abandoned projects so fast. It's like you had
Like
something, you could use it. Oh,
like Resident Evil of all games, I feel like that one should just be like not multiplayer, but like they should do a multiplayer mode for sure again.
yeah, like a
But
co-op. There, I feel
but
like
they
there's a
definitely
difference
need
there.
co-op.
Yeah.
Like if you were to do like Resident Evil 2, for instance, but have it be like, oh, one person's playing as Leon, one person's playing as Jill, I think it is, or Claire. I can't remember which
Jill,
one it is.
last name's Valentine, I want to say, or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I don't remember which one it is in 2. I want to say it's Jill, but it's probably Claire. I don't remember off the top of my head. But if you had one person controlling both of them and just like going through the police precinct,
Mm.
like together, but like from different angles, that would be so great.
They gotta listen eventually. Someone's gotta listen. I think I've been on this roll where I'm shouting things on the internet now, and somebody's listening because they're just toying with me at this point.
Yeah.
But
Better Horizon Zero Dawn.
ooh,
That one could use multiplayer too.
I feel like they were working on something like a multiplayer like thing. I don't know if it was like a regular old like classic multiplayer free to play thing or like a multiplayer Horizon Zero Dawn campaign game. I know there was something going on. The Lego thing looks cool. I enjoy that. That's going to be a fun game to play. But it also might have been canceled.
And apparently there's a multiplayer game in the works.
Hopefully it doesn't get canceled. PlayStation's kind of
Currently.
they're on that wave of canceling things. But we don't want to end on a negative note.
Needs multiplayer or co-op because that would be just really fun.
Again, a massive world. Like, 2 people to explore that map. That'd be fine. Limit it to 2 people. Don't go crazy with 4. 4 is when things start to get out there. But I think that's fine. Also, real quick, while we're talking about games that I want to happen, give me a Star Wars Bounty Hunter game, like an actual one, not Outlaws. No Outlaw. None of that. You know what we want. We want a Mandalorian type of deal. Give me something like that.
Yeah. You want one that actually has like Mandalorian and stuff, just Mandalorians in it and stuff.
Yeah.
I get it.
I want Grogu in all my content now. But speaking of
Grogu, but just Mandalorians. Please give me Mandalorians.
just Mandalorians. But where there are more Mandalorians, not really, but kind of, is our Game Sandwich Discord server where we're talking about games, anything, what have you. We're doing the streaming bit now. Go check some of that stuff out. Links to everything will be down below. But as for now, this has been Game Sandwich Hot Topic. I've been joined by Aiden today, and we'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed today's debate or want your weekly dose of gaming news content, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for content just like this. And we'll see you guys next time.